Oh yeah. I don't mind being cocky, but I don't want to be arrogant.
Oh, okay,
I
that's
mean,
even better. I
I do a
like
little
that.
better at having a little cockiness to
Yeah,
myself and having a little strut
yeah,
in my walk, but I don't want to be deemed as an
yeah.
arrogant jerk, you know?
I like that because now we can actually cross over into the cocky side
Yeah.
because for me, I have to understand the words and and I hadn't thought about the word arrogant. So
Hmm.
now that you brought it up, it's very, very true. Like there's still another step above, so now we can cross over to the one that we haven't
Right,
before.
right, right. That's awesome.
Hey guys, so today we're here with John, also known as JD, also known as the Silver Model, right?
I don't know why.
Yeah, well, I was actually gonna ask you, like where did that come from? Where did that name come from?
Well, JD was a nickname that I was given back when I first moved to Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my full name is John Doncaster. So I used to go to a teen club where I actually met my wife when she was 15. Um, and this was back in the early mid 80s. And everybody just shortened my name to JD. And then when I started modeling, I grew the beard out, and obviously with a silver beard, you get called the silver fox or the silver model. So it was just JD, the silver model. So
Yeah, no, that's funny.
that's where JD came from.
Yeah, what made you actually want to start going into like modeling? What started that? What sparked it?
Oh, well, I never thought I was ever going to be a model. When I was younger, I always wanted to be a rock star.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a drummer and a vocalist back in the early 80s. And yeah, when that whole career didn't pan out, I moved back to Arizona, and where I was reintroduced to my wife again, and opened up a lighting business here in Phoenix, and had that for about 10 or 12 years. And then that business had failed during the recession time back in 2006 through 2008.
Yeah,
And so I spent a period of time just trying to reinvent myself and reinvent myself, reinvent myself. Um,
that's always a fun time.
yeah,
Well, I mean,
and
fun and not fun, right? Because you go through so much failure during those points.
yeah, I did a lot of soul searching, and I've been working in the AV business for a long time. I basically started to try to figure out what I want to do with my life, and I was going to do some physique modeling
Okay.
because I train. And um, after that, I was like, well, do I really want to spend the money on trying to win a plastic trophy? Or do I want to take this money and apply it towards something else? So,
Mm-hmm.
what I decided to do is I was going to do a photo shoot.
Okay.
And I was out and about with my daughter, and we were at the Southern Rail here in Phoenix, and ran into a photographer that just had to be shooting the restaurant there.
Yeah.
And I go, well, can I do a photo shoot with you? He goes, sure. And we talked about it, and he goes, you should really try to pursue modeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, I'm 52 years old. I don't know if I really want to be a model or
Wow. So
not.
you just started.
Yeah, just a couple of years ago. Um, so he goes, well, we'll take the shots, and I can, you know, introduce you to some agents there, and you can send your photos out to them.
Yeah.
And so we took the shots, put a portfolio together, and sent out my portfolio to like 3 different agencies. 2 rejected me, and 1 picked me up within 5-10 minutes
Wow.
of sending my photos out to them.
Wow. That's so awesome. There's so many times that you go, and you must have experienced it when you go through the failure stage, right? But
Oh,
when
I'm
you're
still going through it.
But I mean, when you get to the right place
Mhm.
for what's meant for you, you've been picked up in 5 minutes, even though it was it was two other failures right there, but it was almost instant that like I'm kind of in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And just because I'm saying like there's other people who do modeling and they'll
Mm-hmm.
go for years and never get picked up,
Yeah.
you know, but you went through that in a different way in different areas of your life, with the lighting and with the going to California, doing all those other things, like those weren't right for you, but once you found the right thing, it was just boom,
Yeah.
this is where you're at,
Yeah. And it kind of gave me validation, why I was going to the gym, why I was trying to keep a positive attitude.
Yeah.
Because when I was losing everything back in the recession,
Yeah.
I started working out just to keep my sanity.
Yeah.
I figured, well, I could either start drinking or I could start working out.
Yeah.
So I opted for something constructive to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And yeah, and it's just been a passion of mine for the past, decade or so now. And like I said, with the modeling, it kind of just validated what I was doing that whole time and staying positive and moving forward.
Yeah. Now that you've been doing this for a few years, what do you wish you had known though when you first started? Like, is there something
As
that's
far as modeling
as
goes,
far as modeling? Yeah.
oh, I don't know anything about modeling. So I don't know what I don't know. So I just try to, be professional and, like I said, show up on time, be professional, have a positive attitude, be nice.
Mm-hmm.
There's, much worse jobs out there that I could be doing than
Absolutely.
standing out there and, just trying to look pretty for a
Yeah.
picture. So
Yeah. If somebody was, so is that this like, if somebody were to come and tell you, hey JD, I'm trying to start modeling, is that the advice you would give them? It's more than anything, just be open minded, be positive when you go out there and just accept like
yeah,
the
and just
criticism and.
realize there's a market for any look out
Mm-hmm.
there. There's commercials for everything. There's models for everything. So just because you think you may not be the best looking person in the world or the most in shape person in the world, doesn't matter. There's a market for you, and what you have to do is find your market, find your niche. And modeling agencies and the customers, the clients of the modeling agencies, they'll
Yeah.
find you. They're looking for someone who looks like you
Mm-hmm.
when they call upon you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I get a phone call, it's because they're looking for, a middle-aged man with a gray beard.
Yeah. What's the best job or like the best gig you've taken so far? The most fun that you can remember?
Well, I've only had, since I've just started doing this, I've only had three real paying gigs.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is in Rob Report magazine right now,
Oh, that's cool.
the December issue, and it's for Jeffrey Roth watches.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sitting there with a $24,000 watch on my wrist, holding a pen that he designs in front of a lamp that he also designed. So for me, that's the
Yeah.
coolest gig
Yeah.
I've had so far. I'm also a representative for a friend of mine's company, M Drive, which is a male testosterone enhancement
Mm-hmm.
supplement company. So I'm definitely their
I mean,
demographic.
you
So.
got the look. Yeah, for all those, you have the look, and no, there is something to be said about that. That no matter who you are, somebody's looking for you.
Mhm. And the latest photo shoot I've had, the paying photo shoot I had, um, is for Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm actually a truck driver or a truck owner. I guess they have a division where you can buy a truck from Amazon and then start up your own independent business underneath the Amazon umbrella
Yeah.
and hire a driver. And then you deliver overland packages for Amazon. And I'm playing the owner of the truck.
Oh, okay.
And that one is one I'm really proud of because I actually got that through my agent
Mm-hmm.
and had to audition for it. Nearly gave up on the audition. We had to send out a 30-second blurb about ourselves, and I had spent 2 hours trying to come up with 30 seconds of talking about myself.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get through this. My wife is filming me. My daughter and my son are trying to keep our animals quiet so we could do the
Yeah.
video for this audition and send it in. And I'm like, almost gave up and finally got something that was decent enough to send to them and got the gig.
Yeah, that's always one of the most difficult things that I find for myself too, is having to talk for a long period about yourself,
Mm.
because I don't know the difference between explaining things to people and almost bragging. There's like that fine line,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And that's kind of with the holidays coming on right now. That was a big deal. Is that how do I tell my family about what I'm doing
Hmm.
without sounding like I'm bragging about myself?
Yeah, yeah. That's actually something that we've been talking about. It's with our Instagram and with the way that we position ourselves. How do we go and sound confident but not cocky?
Hmm.
And there's that very very thin line, right? Sometimes it could be one word,
Hmm.
but people will definitely like call you out when it's like oh, this guy thinks he's freaking made it, you know.
Hmm.
And then there's the other side of it that's like, oh, okay, I like this guy, right? Like he understands who he is. But that thin line, you cross it and people just start hating like that, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I don't mind being cocky, but I don't want to be arrogant.
Oh, okay,
I
that's
mean,
even better. I
I do
like
a little
that.
better at having a little cockiness to
Yeah,
myself and having a little strut
yeah,
in my walk, but I don't want to be deemed as an
yeah.
arrogant jerk, you know?
I like that because now we can actually cross over into the cocky side
Yeah.
because for me, I have to understand the words and and I hadn't thought about the word arrogant.
Hmm.
So now that you brought it up, it's very, very true. Like there's still another step above, so now we can cross over to the one that we have
Right,
before.
right, right.
That's
It's like
awesome.
when I walk into the gym, you know, I know I'm there to work and I'm going to put up, some decent numbers and stuff when I'm there and put up some decent weight
Yeah,
for a man my age. And there's young bucks there all the time, and I know that they're going, oh, this old man,
yeah, yeah.
he thinks he's something. But I got to get in a mindset that I'm going to get this done
Mm-hmm.
in order to get through my workouts and stuff.
No, absolutely. I feel that you go through steps of confidence in yourself, and maybe it was just that like being young, we haven't gotten to those yet, but I think that you have reached so far up
Mm.
that you're just like, No, this is who I am. You know, I don't mind being this." And then maybe someday you're just like, "You know what? I'm gonna cross over to being arrogant." You know?
No,
Who
I hope not. I hope not. It's
cares?
like that's what I say. When I'm working with photographers out
Yeah.
there, that's the one thing I want to be. I want to be confident. I want to
Mhm.
have a little, little cockiness to myself, but also be very, very nice
Yeah.
and realize that there's much worse things I could be doing in this world.
Yeah. What drives your dream? What's the fuel behind it?
Oh, I wouldn't say it's a fear of failure because I'm not afraid of failing. I've gone through that before.
Mhm.
Probably my family, and just having the support of my family and being able to pave the way for my sons, my daughter, just so that they know that they can achieve whatever they want to achieve within reason.
Yeah.
Um, if you don't have any basketball skills, you're not going to become a basketball player. But if you have some type of a skill and you pursue it and you work hard at it, you can achieve it.
Yeah. You're being the example basically. You're
I'm
trying to.
definitely trying to be the example. That's my message. If
Mhm.
there's any message out there, is that if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
You just have to put in the grind and put in the work and
Yeah.
embrace the suck and do it.
Yeah. This isn't the best example cuz every single time people kind of interpreted this too literally, but whenever somebody young tells me like what do I need to do? Well, younger than me cuz I know I'm young. I'm gonna just everyone's gonna be like what do you mean somebody young? But somebody younger than me, I say, well, you know what? Like if you really want to get there, like put your head down, eat shit
Mm,
and just don't complain about it. Do that for like 2 3 years
mm.
and you'll see some results. But then people like they just take that and they're like, "Oh, that sounds horrible." But the reality is like sometimes it is really that bad.
Hmm.
You just put your head down and you have to eat it and not say anything. 2 years are gonna go by, and unfortunately, that's what it takes.
Hmm.
It takes time, and if you can't do that, like it's never gonna happen for you. So I truly understand that your story, even though you've only been doing it for 2 years and you got picked up right away,
Hmm.
I understand that for the other 52 years
Hmm.
you're probably just going and doing what you had to, and you had some bad breaks, and you just kind of kept going because the breaks didn't break you.
Yeah. I mean, I've had success as much as I've had failure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when things go bad, they can go bad in a hurry and they can go bad really
Yeah.
bad.
What's
Like,
what's the worst thing you've experienced so far as failure? Like it doesn't have to be like, an emotional or mental breakdown or anything, but as far as like something that you really wanted
mm.
and it just didn't pan out for you, what's the worst one that you've
Well,
had to experience?
when I had my business, I had a lighting business. So I used to do concert lighting
Mm-hmm.
and special event lighting. So, I was lighting up rock stars and all that kind of stuff. And when that failed, that was a real huge blow. Um, I was always thinking that was something that I could pass on to my children was the
Mm-hmm.
business if they wanted it.
That's hard, yeah.
And yeah, when that failed, I had kind of mentally checked out. I had checked out of my business. I didn't want to deal with clients. I didn't want to deal with anything, and just got really burnt out on it. And that's one of the reasons it failed, is because I got burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was probably the biggest, deepest failure
Yeah.
that
Do
I
you
had.
look back now and think there was something you could have done to change that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
What do you think that was?
I could have stayed more focused when I had my business, and when it was starting to fail, a bit of it was kind of like a perfect storm. Um, the economy was going bad back then. I was spending a lot of time on the road,
Mm-hmm.
um, freelancing as an AV tech and a lighting designer.
Yeah.
So my local clients here kind of got put off to the side. And
Gotcha.
if I had just focused more on, you know, keeping my business going, it probably would have been, I could have weathered the storm.
Yeah.
But like I said, I had gotten burned out by that time.
Yeah. I think that's something that people can really learn from you because you have that experience and everybody does experience burnout,
Hmm.
right? Everybody's going to experience burnout at some point, but it's like what's the main cause of it? Like for you, what was the main cause of it? Was it the over traveling? Were you doing it alone? Like
It was a lot. I had support from some friends who were helping me do the business, and I was hiring freelancers
mhm.
to help me do the shows and things. But and then my wife helped me, do the books and all that kind of stuff. But it felt like I was wearing too many hats,
Okay.
being the owner, doing all the shows. And we had, New Year's Eve is coming up, and I used to do 23 stages on New Year's Eve,
Wow.
as well as 3 or 4 private parties. And I had to be at all of them
mhm.
before, I could relax. And then when I finally got a chance to relax, then the phone calls start coming where, you have this problem, that problem to work through.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can take this anymore. So
Yeah, so part of you was you were ready almost. You were ready
to
to kind of
let it
take a
go.
break. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was ready to do something different.
Mhm.
But like I said, I always wanted to have that to give to my children. That's why I said I feel like I failed my children at that time.
Yeah.
failed my
Yeah.
failed my wife.
Yeah. We had just actually brought this up within ourselves that really there is no rejection. I mean, sorry, there is no failure until you give up,
Hmm.
right? Because that really could have been your point. That could have been your moment where you just go, I'm going to a 9 to 5. I'm going to a 9 to 5, and that's it. And I'm gonna collect on what's it called, my 401k. I'm gonna try to build that up,
Mm.
and when I turn 65, I'm done. You
Right.
know?
Well, yeah. I mean, I could have gone that route, but I went the freelance route. Actually, I sold the business and went back to school
Mm-hmm.
and got my education in interior design, of all things.
Why
Just
that?
because
Why that? Was it just you
I I like
some?
being creative,
Mm-hmm.
and if I couldn't do lighting design anymore, um, I wanted to do something creative in
Mm-hmm.
interior design. When I was a child, I wanted to be an architect.
Mm.
So this seemed to be, a
Right
logical
in line.
step,
Yeah.
is doing interior design. Um, but yeah, I got my education and started working for a couple design firms and just didn't feel good about it. Um, I was working for um, an arts center here locally in Phoenix, down at Hants Park. And in the daytime, when I was going to school, so I was working at that arts center. And in the daytime, I'd go and work on a $12 million mansion. And then I'd go down to the arts center and see all the homeless out there at the park.
Mm-hmm.
And like just that a much separation between this class and that class
Yeah.
just weighed heavy on me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not here to make somebody happy in their $12 million mansion and then watch the couple get divorced and it becomes a $12 million spec home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just realized, the money aspect of it wasn't enough to drive me
Yeah.
to do interior design.
Yeah.
You know, I saw rich people, multi-million dollar millionaires, you know, that are unhappy. So I figured there's got to be something different. There's got to be something out there that I want to do.
Yeah.
And that's when I started freelancing in the AV industry, and I did that for a couple of years, and until I landed a job as a project manager for the company I work for now, which is also an AV company. And yeah, so that's what I did. that's the path I chose,
How
and
did
that's why I kind of
how
chose it.
did you fill that void, that emptiness that you were feeling because it wasn't all about money?
Mm-hmm.
What was it for you that finally gave you that completeness?
Um, well, the gentleman I work for now is about my same age,
Mhm.
and him and I have a lot of common interests. We're both ex-musicians, and I have a lot of input
Mhm.
in the company that I work for now
Mhm.
with him. He values my opinion,
Mhm.
which I think that's what I like,
Yeah.
is just being appreciated and valued
Yeah.
for having an opinion, or you know, changing the direction of wherever we go.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I like my input.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I like about modeling too, is that it's something that I can control, and it's
Mm,
something that I have my own input into.
they're actually relying on you at
Yeah,
that moment.
yeah.
Like you're in it's hard to explain, but basically it's kind of like when you have the star role of a movie, right?
Mm.
That movie would be nothing without that star role. So it's like as much as they need you, like you need them, the reality is that like you make or break something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's good to, you know, I don't know if it's the starring role, but a good supporting role.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That one that you were telling me about, the 24,000 watch and the pen. I'm pretty sure you had to make or break that one because
Well, it was nice because the original photographer that I worked with that got me into the industry,
hmm
he's the one who hired me for the watch company, because he's their photographer, their staff
Oh,
photographer. I
gotcha.
actually wouldn't say staff photographer because he's a,
They go to him.
yeah,
He's the go-to.
yep, he's the man. And it's funny, it just so happens that he also is a musician, and him are going to start playing some music together
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. I really found that once you start really finding out who you are and what you're about and what makes you happy,
Mm.
it almost the universe brings all those things to you.
Yeah, I just want to be relevant. I don't know if everybody wants to be, you know, deemed as relevant, but
Yeah, explain
I
that.
hope so.
Explain that a little bit deeper. Like, what do you mean by relevant? Like, what does that mean to you?
That my life had some type of, you know, impact on other people. Um, like I said, I mean, I like to have an influence on men my age,
Mm,
and I want to have an influence on the next generation of men. I was thinking about this on the way over here, is that nowadays it seems like the a strong man or a strong male role model is kind of seems passe, or you know, kind of silly.
yeah,
I think the media kind of portrays men as um, almost buffoonish, or they try to make men nowadays seem almost Neanderthal,
yeah,
you know, and having a strong woman on the screen is more important than having a strong man on the screen
hmm.
lately. And I don't have a problem with women being strong, you know.
It's the deeming down of the
Yeah, it's the
opposite
one or the
side.
other, yes.
Yeah,
And you know, that's my biggest thing, is I want to be a strong male role model,
yeah,
and show the next generation of men, you know, how to be strong men,
yeah,
as well as, you know, respecting women at the same time.
yeah, yeah. I feel me and you are kind of on the same path because I I really saw in my 20s, my early 20s, that was something that was no longer really around. Like I looked up, like I didn't need a life coach. I
Mm-hmm.
needed a strong male role model, a strong male coach,
Mm-hmm.
life
Mm-hmm.
coach, right? And those don't exist.
Right.
So I went and had to find it in other places, and it's really one of those things that you're right. It's missing in our culture. The more we go into the later years, it's like, oh, well, you don't need to be a strong alpha male type. But then you see like these situations where maybe a woman's getting beat on the street by the guy,
Mm.
and you see the videos on Facebook that the guys are turning away.
Mm.
It's like, why are they turning? What that none of that makes sense.
Right.
None of that makes. I mean, we have Muhammad Ali right there. When boxing was boxing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not
Yeah.
just flying around,
Right.
moving around, right? Like that was the whole point, and it is something that is missing. And I'm glad that there's are people like you, that you're going after those things. And if it weren't for you, like what else do we have?
Yeah.
Who else do we have?
Yeah. It's going to be forgotten. You know, my father was my strong
Mm-hmm.
male role, male role model there. Um, but he wasn't overly aggressive or overly macho or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. He went to work every day. He came home. When I grew up, he was one of my coaches for when I played football and when I played basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he didn't have to pound his chest or anything like that. He was just a very strong, calming individual.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that that's something that kind of gets lost now too, is that it's kind of gone the other way, over the top.
Yeah.
Um, almost the gun-toting, tattooed guys
Mm-hmm.
that are almost overly macho,
Yeah.
in order to find their place in a society and say, yes, I'm a strong man here.
Yeah.
But to me, a strong man is just a man who takes care of his own business. He doesn't have to be, toot his own horn or anything like that. Doesn't have to be overly boisterous about what they're doing, but just be consistent.
Yeah, that I always found that to be one of the best qualities of anyone, like whether it be a man or a woman. But like I feel that the men of the past were the ones that gave us the best example of your word is your bond.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people that I have worked with, people that I have experienced, people that are late, right? They say I'm never gonna be late again,
Mm-hmm.
and they're late again, and I'm like, I get it. You think that that's nothing, but that is who you are now,
Mm-hmm.
and that is how people see you. And when they think of the name anything, like name X, oh, name X is tardy. That's who name X is. And that right there is so bad. And they'll never realize that until they're 40, 50, and be like, why have I never reached success?
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody can trust anything you say.
Yeah, you haven't proven yourself. You have no, you know, you may or may not have a good work ethic or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, you're opening that door for doubt, for
Mm-hmm.
people to doubt you, and that's what you never want to do. Like you were saying, being late. Um, when we were growing up, to be early was to be on time,
Yeah.
and to be on time was to be late, and
Yeah.
to be late is unacceptable.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because 5 minutes late now is acceptable. Oh, well, as long they're late, but as long as they get here within 5 minutes, it's fine, right?
Right, right. But then that 5 minutes turns into 10, turns into 15.
Hmm. Even at work, I was at a certain job, and they said there was a 5 minute grace period from the time of blah blah blah, and I was like, that doesn't make sense because then their time is technically 7:05, not 7.
Hmm.
And it goes back to like what are we really teaching everybody,
Right.
right? What is really the standard that we're putting? It makes so much sense now when you say that you want to be relevant
Hmm.
because there's a consistency to it. You have to be consistent with everything that you do in order to be relevant.
Yeah.
You can't be relevant if you're not consistent with the times, consistent with the people, with what they want, with what's going on, with the news. Like there's so much that goes into it. And I think that it's just one of those things that you really have to be on your A game at all points in time
Mm.
as a father, as a provider,
Mm.
as a model, as somebody who's like depending on you to like put out the best of your work, of yourself, right? So it makes a lot of sense to me now that you say a word like relevant, and it opens up just so much more that really that word comes down to meaning, you know?
Yeah.
Um, when you first want to start a model, like to model,
Mm.
I was really curious. What did those people around you tell you?
I didn't have a lot of naysayers. I didn't have a lot of people that said you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I did have a lot of people that didn't really take it as seriously as I knew I was going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so a lot of people saw it as a hobby, and I do a lot of free photo shoots with a lot of different photographers around here
Mm-hmm.
because I want the camera time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to learn my craft. I want to do it well. I want to be professional about it. So until I got those last few paying gigs, which were my first paying gigs,
Yeah.
I felt that everybody thought I was just doing it as a hobby and not really, giving me the props or the credit, I guess. I wouldn't say props, but just the respect
Yeah.
for what I was trying to achieve, what I'm
Yeah.
trying to do.
There was still some doubt that
Yeah,
that it was real.
yeah, and so getting those paying gigs gave me, the credibility
Yeah.
that I'm actually okay. You're doing it professionally here. You got paid.
Yeah. At what point do you at what point do you say, JD, you've become successful? Like, do you consider yourself already successful, or when do you consider yourself that you've seen success in what you
I,
do?
I I don't know if it's success, but I know that it's something that now that I've done it, nobody can take it away from me.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in a sense that's success,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not the end all be all.
Yeah.
Being a model is not the end all be all for me. What I really want to do is kind of what you're doing here is, I want to be an influence and a role model to, like I said, men my age and the next generation of men, and do it through social media or whatever. And that's another thing that people don't, they kind of roll their eyes at.
Yeah.
If you say, okay, I've got a YouTube channel or
Yeah.
whatever, and I want to be an
Oh, you
influencer,
have
they're
no
like,
idea.
what is an influencer? How can you make money? That's
Yeah.
not a real thing. You
Yeah.
can't be an influencer. Well, an influencer is just like any other advertiser, marketer, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what an influencer is. They're marketing. They're trying to have you either buy an idea from you or buy a
Mm-hmm.
product from you or whatever. And influencers are a big deal. There
Yeah.
are, social media does, have relevance.
Yeah. It's funny because we were just talking about that right before you got here, maybe like 6 hours ago. That whenever you do tell somebody, hey, I'm gonna make it on Instagram, or I'm gonna start going that way, or YouTube, whatever it is, they go, no, like that's dumb. You're a kid, especially in our age. You're a
Mm-hmm.
kid. Like you should be focusing on something else. Go to work. You're wasting your time.
Yeah, there's millions of other kids that want to do the same thing, already doing it.
But those same people that say that,
Mm-hmm.
same exact people that told me all those things, within a few days, I'll hear them. Oh my God, the kid's making millions of dollars on YouTube. I should have done that, or like anybody could have done. Look at this is stupid. But when you tell them you want to do it,
Mm-hmm.
they tear you down. So it is. Anytime the internet, it's made for skeptical people.
Oh yeah,
It's made for skeptical people who are gonna end up giving you their money anyway.
yeah, yeah.
So it's you have to start at some point. You have to just take off, and at some point, if you keep continuous with it, this is what I've seen with all the people that we've worked with. You keep continuous at anything, and you make it as
Yeah.
long as you stay relevant.
Right. Yeah, and consistent, like you said. Yeah, as I said, it's always a grind and a process, and I enjoy the grind. I enjoy the process. I enjoy taking that next step, next step, next step.
Yeah.
So, but that was another thing too, as you were talking about people you putting you down for wanting to do what you want to do. There's a saying that's out there that anybody that's working harder than you will never put you down for
Ah,
what you're doing.
that's true. That's a good one.
It's
That's
always
a really good
somebody
one.
that's not doing anything
Yeah.
that wants to put you down for you trying to do something for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. We're actually pretty close to the end. I wanted to ask you, what is something that you wanted to share with us? Is there anything that we've covered today that you have maybe like a final thought or something like that?
Just kind of what I've been preaching along is that, you know, my biggest goal is to be a strong male role model
Mm-hmm.
to men my age that think that they are stuck with whatever they're doing now and not realizing you can do something different with your
Yeah.
life if you want to. You know, if you want to get in shape, do the work, get in the gym,
Mm-hmm.
do what it takes, eat properly, you know, get rest, that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. You can get the body that you want to get. You know, if you want to start a new business, research it, work hard, figure out
Yeah.
what you want to do, figure out, you know, you can have a business of your own.
Yeah. What advice would you give to somebody who says, I want to, I have the plans, I just don't know how to start?
Start. I mean, when I opened up my business, I didn't know the first thing about lighting,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew that I could sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I could hire people that knew about lighting that could help me do the lighting. And I learned as I went along. The business side of it is a little more challenging,
Absolutely.
but yeah, if you want to start something, you can start it.
Yeah.
I mean, and you can learn as you go along. And if it fails, it fails. You know, pick yourself up, do something else.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
don't let one failure, you know,
Determine.
deter you
Yeah.
from starting something new.
Yeah.
You know, don't get complacent with yourself. And
Yeah.
like I said, we keep on talking about relevance and consistency. You got to just be consistent about what you're doing and do it over and over and
Keep
over
going.
again. You know, um, basketball players can't shoot free throws. What do? Sit there,
Grind away. Yep.
practice away till you finally become, you know, good at it. Just like anything else,
Yeah.
business wise, anything.
Yeah. It applies to everything.
Yeah.
Anyone you want to give a final shout out to?
Oh, my wife, Crystal. Thank you for tolerating me and being with me through all this stuff. If anything, through all our successes and failures, it has solidified our relationship even more.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
cool.
if somebody can be with you during the top and at the bottom, that's keeper.
You found them. Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Thanks, JD, for coming today. Appreciate you. We're going to add all your information in the video so that way people know how to find you. Join us for the next one, guys. We'll catch you later.